I got a great interview with Tyvis Powell coming up for you guys. But before I get into that, I got to thank my sponsor for today, DraftKings. Hey, everybody, with football season kicking off, it's the perfect time to dive into the action with my partners at DraftKings, the #1 place to bet on touchdowns. And right now, all new customers who bet $5 will instantly get $250 in bonus bets plus a month of NFL Plus Premium. That's something we can all celebrate. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app by using my promo code WORSTTAKE. That's $250 in bonus bets instantly and 1 month of NFL Plus Premium after betting just $5. Stay in on the action and use your $250 in bonus bets to bet on anytime touchdowns on DraftKings. DraftKings is the best place to bet on touchdowns. If sports betting is not yet available in your state, don't worry. You can still join in on all the fun with DraftKings Daily Fantasy and have a shot to win cash prizes. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. New customers use my promo code WORSTTAKE and bet just $5 on any wager and get $250 in bonus bets instantly. That's promo code WORSTTAKE only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Back on again. Always good to have Tyvis on. Repping all the Cleveland, Ohio gear, right? Like you can tell this man is from Northeast Ohio and then went to Ohio State. It's obvious.
I like to let people know where it is. When you see me, you ain't even got to question where I'm from. You already know as soon as you see my face.
He got a Bedford beater on underneath all of that.
That's the only, that's the only thing I miss. I got to go up to Bedford and get me like a hoodie or something.
Oh yeah, you gotta get you some Bearcat merch. Do they make Bearcat merch?
Y'all they used
got
to.
Like an animal logo for it anymore because all my life it's just been that beat. Like
no, they had we had a Bearcat. I feel like it was either my junior year or my senior year. They actually got like a cat on the side of the helmet. But I did like to be better though. I ain't gonna lie, I like to be better.
I just remember I used to like when the school would play at Bedford because y'all had that nice field. And this is when nobody in the LEL, especially like in the Cleveland part of the LEL, like because what Mentor used to be in the LEL, and then like Avon, like Lorraine, like all these long distance ass schools. Warren G. Hardin was in the LEL 1 year. I remember we drove an hour to a game. I'm like, how is this conference play? I went to school in Youngstown too, so I realized like that was crazy. We were in the same conference as Warren Hardin. How is this? They rival is Boardman. How are they in our conference?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did play Warren G. Hardin. I think that was my senior year. We played Warren G. Hardin. Sure did.
Yeah, no, it was the LEL is one of the weirdest conferences in all of high school athletics. I'm convinced because you got everything in there. Because you got Shaw, you got Maple,
was in there,
Warrensville, Bedford, and it kind of makes sense, right?
Cleveland Heights, Euclid, Lorraine,
Garfield was in there, and then how is Lorraine in there?
Lorraine had like 3 schools. They had because it was Admiral
King,
South.
Lorraine Southview or something like that.
Yeah, Southview, I think it was, and it was somebody else, and they all combined it to make just Lorraine. I'm like, y'all, that's cheating, first of all, but whatever.
They still ain't good, but like,
yeah, no, that was sad. I was actually shocked that Lorraine wasn't good with having like 3 schools combined.
That's nuts. That is nuts. And I remember just realizing how much bigger Mentor was than every other school in the LEL at that time.
I think
like Maple went to play them, and it looked like a college team. I'm like,
that's exactly what I thought.
They brought in this freshman. I'm like, who is this? Turned out that was Mitchell Trubisky.
That's exactly what I thought. I'm like, this a college team? I remember we played them in basketball. I was like, who is these dude? They had shooters and 7-footers. I'm like, what is this?
You just look around and like, dog, this Ohio State. Like, we about to get beat down. What's going? I remember Maple got beat down that year we played Mentor, and Maple went to the state championship that year. I'm like, dog, they different.
Mentor was different, man. They was ahead of their time when I was playing.
Oh my goodness. But yeah, the weirdness of the LEL aside, and for the viewers, that is the most Cleveland conversation you'll get on Sports Talk this week that you going to hear. But let's talk about the Browns. Are you concerned going into week one about this team, given the lack of what we've seen so far out of them in the preseason and in joint practices?
Yeah, I mean, there's reason to be concerned. I mean, because we don't know what it's going to look like. We've heard about they're going to go board to 11 personnel and all of these things, but we have not seen it. We've seen some glimpses of it, but we haven't seen it, what it looks like. And it hasn't been a ton of success offensively. I mean, we scored 10 points? Like we haven't really seen it. And then defensively, my thing with the defense was last year, and I might be wrong. Maybe I'm tripping on this one, but you tell me if I am. Last year, when the defense went in, whether it was the ones, twos, or threes, they looked dominant. They looked like they was out there really balling and making plays. And I feel like I just don't see them making a ton of plays this year. And I don't know what that's about. Like, I don't see the same enthusiasm, the same hype, the same level of intensity that I seen last year. And I'm hoping that they're not resting on what they did last year. Like that would be unbelievable to me if they come out here and be like, yeah, we was good last year, so they think they're just gonna be good this year. It don't really work like that. So that bothers me. But the left tackle thing is the thing that gets me the most. That in the run game. Like without Nick Chubb, the run game was kind of and now you're gonna start the season off probably without Nick Chubb. And you moving more to a spread. So what is our run game going to look like? You putting a lot on a quarterback that's coming off of a shoulder injury. What are we going to do in the run game? Because that has to be a part of it.
Yeah. So the run game, I think, concerns me on two levels. And this goes along with my offensive line concerns because I've been like kind of beating the drum a little bit for the last 4 months about, hey, we're going to blame this on Callahan not being here. But the offensive line has been slided under the radar for a while, but they ain't really been that great. And there's some guys there that have been great that, they're clearly showing a decline. One because of age, the other one for reasons I don't understand. But it's something that I point to where I'm like, hey, they were awful at run blocking last year. Like, even when they were healthy, they weren't great. Especially like Wyatt Teller was much more hit and miss than you would think Wyatt Teller should be, given that that's his bread and butter. Like, they didn't have a single guy that they could point to and be like, all right, we're just going to run behind Wyatt and just get this 4 yards. Like, they could not get that 4 yards on first down. And that's what concerns me.
Well, the interesting thing is, and this is what it was kind of eye-opening to me last year, was the offensive line always good, or did Nick Chubb just make them look that good? Like that's the part, because Nick Chubb had a real good talent of making the guy miss. The first person never got Nick Chubb, whether it was in the backfield, whatever. He can make that first person miss, and he'll ultimately make something happen. When he wasn't back there, that run game didn't look the same. And I was like, dang, they getting a lot more penetration now. Like, I didn't notice it because Nick Chubb was able to just make people miss. But like Jerome Ford and Pierre Strong and Kareem, they was getting hit in the backfield a lot. So I'm like, maybe the offensive line wasn't as good as we thought that they was. But they're going to have to prove it this year, because it ain't really outside of the left tackle. Everybody else is pretty much healthy in his back, and you're going to have to figure it out, because you can't ask this man. Like Joe Flacco, and it was evident when Joe Flacco was in there. They had him throwing the ball 40 times a game. They knew that the run game wasn't there. Nobody really asked their quarterback to throw the ball, especially when you're winning. You don't ask your quarterback to throw the ball 40 times a game, but that's what the Browns were doing. And it trips me out a little bit, because it's like, what are we going to do now? If you can't, I don't think you can ask Deshaun to come back week 1 against Dallas and throw the ball 40 times a game. Like, that's like, the man just got cleared technically like 2 weeks ago. So you telling me now you're going to ask this man to throw it 40 times a game? Okay. That run game better at some point show up, and that offensive line better get some push, which in this preseason, I know it's the backups, but I feel like Wyatt and DeJuan did play in that first game. I didn't see a lot of movement on that line. I'm just saying.
Wyatt Dewan and Ethan Posick.
They all played.
Mm-hmm. And Ethan Posick got ripped twice. So another thing that I'm worried about with the offensive line is we talk about moving this thing to something that Deshaun wants to do, what he's comfortable doing. And I've always felt like Joe Burrow and Deshaun kind of have like a similar philosophy and play style at the quarterback position. They're different, like they're good at different things with that play style, but they have like the same kind of like pros and cons just from a play style standpoint, where they're just going to get hit and they're going to take sacks sometimes just because they're trying to extend plays or like Joe's timer ain't going off, so he's just standing there, or he's like, nah, man, if I just get this second, I'm gonna get this window, I'm gonna rip it, and he's just waiting for that like quarter of a second to happen, and it just doesn't. And Deshaun has always been similar, like to that. You see Deshaun's pressure to sack numbers have always been high. His sack numbers have always been ridiculous, right? Like that's one of the things I talked about even before he got here. So you add that. You also add that you're going to be, like we mentioned, more 11 personnel. You know, they're keeping less tight ends on the roster, it seems like this year, which means to me, these tackles going to be on the island sometimes, right? Like they're going to be out there in some 5-man protections. Maybe you get a chip here or you leave a running back in. And the concern there is you're just going to get worse offensive line play. If that's the case, like that's just going to be a trade-off that you're getting. And right now, I would say the Browns, from a pass protected standpoint, last year, they were able to maintain being passable for most of the year, even when Christian was out there. They were able to cobble it up to just get it out there, be passable.
Yeah.
I worry that they're going to run into an issue here where there are going to be some games, and more games than last year, where they're just not passable on the offensive line because Jed struggles sometimes getting beat inside. We don't know how Dewan's going to hold up. Like, second year, teams have more information on him, and it's the second year for him. And he's going to be on the island if he's out there, or is Jack Conklin, who's had like 1 million knee surgeries at this point. So who knows what his athletics going to look like. And then you have guys who were really good in the Browns' old system, like Wyatt Teller, Ethan Posick, who are now moving to a different system. And you wonder, was Ethan Posick somebody who looked really good because of what the Browns were doing with him? Or is Ethan Posick somebody who just like caught his groove in Cleveland and he'll be fine in this? You know, there's a lot of questions there on the offensive line. Joe Bitonio's like, what, 30, 33 now?
I'm like, he up there.
Yeah, well, he was 2014 draft.
Yeah, they got to figure something out. Like obviously it starts with the left tackle spot, but it doesn't excuse everybody else. Like the left tackle is the spot that everybody's thinking about right now because there's no big name there. You know, that's really what it is. I wouldn't say that it's been that bad in the preseason. Like it hasn't been something that I've been like, oh, they left tackle stinks. Like he's getting pressure off from the left. Like that has not really been the case. I've been more concerned with the production of it, of creating gaps for running backs, which we have not seen. Making the quarterback be comfortable in there, running deep fade routes and stuff like that. Like I feel like we ain't even really running deep routes. We running slants and all because I think you kind of know like we might not be able to protect that long. So it's something that you're only as good as your offensive line. And even Kevin Stefanski, when I talked to him on the draft day and I asked him about, you know, him taking Mike Hall and him taking Zach Zinter with the first couple picks, he said, you know, the game is won in the trenches. So it has to be a heavy emphasis that the trench play has to be great for this team to even do anything this year. And I'm hoping, I was listening to Nick Harris talk after the game, and he was talking about, I think it was Nick. It might have been Nick, or it might have been somebody else, but I think it was Nick. And he was talking about how with Bill has given them such a great foundation, and Andy Dickerson is coming in and helping them just add more things to their repertoire. but they're still leaning heavily on what Bill's foundation was because they know that it was good. They've seen a ton of success. And I'm interested if maybe now that you do go to more of a spread, because I know the Bill left because they're going to go more to a passing team. But I don't want this season to fall apart because the offensive line coach is gone. Like that, to me, would be ridiculous that you lost the whole season because your offensive line coach is gone.
Yeah.
But they better be thinking, what is our strengths? What you've had all these weeks to figure out what these players is good at protecting. And that got to be your bread and butter. Like you can't go outside of that. But you better become really good at blocking whatever that is. And that's what your offense is going to be. At the end of the day, it's going to be whatever your offensive line can handle. Simple as.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's going to be limited by that. I also wonder how much them not going downfield has to do with the fact that they throwing out DTR and Tyler Huntley out there exclusively at quarterbacks in these two games.
No, well, I mean, you got DTR strong arm is strong, so I mean he could make those throws, but their problem is with they third and second team. Do they got anybody like that? Do they got anybody that's like a deep downfield threat?
DTR is an interesting case because he could throw it hard, but like his numbers, even his deep ball accuracy in college was like pretty, like some of the lowest in the country. And I just wonder, like, why is that? Like, how can you throw a fastball like 99 miles per hour, but you can't do long toss? Like, it doesn't. Throwing the football is one of the most mysterious things mechanically to figure out because, like, Pat Mahomes could throw that thing a mile. I know dudes way bigger than Pat Mahomes can't do that. Yeah. Can't do anything close to that.
Dude, like, that's why when they said DTR had one of the strong arms, I'm like, he's skinny. What are you talking about? He out here sleep. Then you see
wrist straight. He must got that on that thing.
He got something. That ball definitely fly out his hand. I will say that.
I bet wide receivers hate catching that shit.
They do. They do. You see? Did you not see when he first started how they was dropping the ball? They probably like, dude, stop doing this so hard.
Amari Cooper's body, and look, maybe I'm just projecting, but Amari Cooper's body language when DTR was out there had a significant shift once Joe Flacco got back out. Or even PJ Walker. They threw PJ Walker back out there in Denver. I think Amari got like 3 receptions, 30 yards real quick. He was struggling the whole Denver game. But he was like, oh yeah, I'm back.
I'm telling you, yeah, that ball, he like, bro, it's a slant. What you throwing at that ball for?
It's a screen.
Yeah, what are you doing? Take something off.
Slow it down. Like throw a change up. I promise I'll catch it.
The boys turned that speed up on that jug machine that week.
I know it was bad as hell too. You like, man, I got like, angrily turning up the jug. You like, I got just then. And then he throw it that fast, and then he miss you on a deep ball. I would be furious.
I would be furious. I ain't gonna lie, especially if you got him beat. I can't. You underthrew this.
Nah.
But I like DTR though. I like DTR. I feel like we're playing really well. He do have that offense going, so I do like DTR.
And I saw him put some touch on some of those shorter passes this week. I think an interception happened because he did it. But I think I would be fine with that. I would rather see him try to work on stuff that he clearly needed to get better at.
Well,
because we know what he could do well. Yeah,
the funny part is when he threw the slant to Jamari Thrash, the DB was all over him, but he threw it so fast in there that the dude missed the ball. Like, so I like it got its pros and cons. I was shocked that Thrash actually caught it.
You got to just be coming up with him to get used to that. But I think it's
for sure.
For you to like be like, hey, Amari Cooper, come catch this. Like,
this ain't no dude that you just. Hey, let's go out there game one, and we ain't really got no chemistry, and you think you just gonna catch everything.
And from what I hear, quarterbacks tend to have an attitude about that kind of thing when you talk about they throwing the ball too fast.
Oh, yeah, they hate that. Yeah, they do, because they like, your job is to catch it no matter what, and I'm trying to get you the ball.
Like, all right. let's talk about Greg Newsome. He has been a bit of a lightning rod this offseason, right? I think he's a corner who clearly has some strengths and weaknesses, right? I think he's a better corner than some people give him credit for. Where are you at with Greg? Like, when you watch Greg, what do you see as his like strengths and weaknesses, and what do you see as stuff that he can just like avoid and get better at, and what's the stuff that's like, hey man, he just can't move left or right like how you want to, so it's just not gonna happen for him like that.
So Greg, G New is one of those guys that he's a physical guy. He likes to get up in there and get hands on people. And I think that allows him to be able to run with everybody. And, everybody talks about the Houston game and how things went bad in the Houston game. I think the situation that he's in with the Browns is perfect. I think he could cover really well, but I don't think he could cover for that long. Like, I think he's one of those guys that in the first 4 or 5 seconds, what you want to make a quarterback. So if a quarterback snaps the ball and his first read is G New's man, G New gonna do a good job of being where he need to be to make that quarterback say, it's not there, let me go to 2. But the problem is, if the quarterback then starts to extend the play or that pass rush ain't getting there, he gets an extra second, I think that's when he gets lost. I remember the Nico Collins play. They sent Nico in motion, I think, and G New didn't get set. He was halfway. He was halfway between playing off and pressing. Like, he was in that place that you don't want to be. And I think Nico Collins ran a sluggo, which is a slant and go for people that don't know. When he ran the slant, G New was all over the slant. Like, he sold out on the slant. But the problem is, which that's fine. On a double move, you should sell out because you should think, if he runs a double move, my pass rush should get there, and he shouldn't even have time to throw the double move. So he's all over the slant, selling out like he usually does. Guy hits the double move, they block it up well. Now he's getting beat deep. So for me, I think he trusts his pass rush a little bit too much. And if that, I know you're supposed to, but you still in the same breath have to protect yourself. So it's certain plays and certain routes that happen that you got to stay on top of the route. You can't roll the dice. And I think he's one of those guys that rolls the dice a little too much, and that's what'll lead to a big play, which I'm not mad at that, because the only way to make a play is you got to take risk at sometimes, but he needs to take more calculated risks. He needs to understand, if they send in an extra blitzer, all right, maybe I can take this risk. But if it's just that basic 4-man pass rush, you got to be a little bit more passive and not give up the deep explosive play. So that's the things I see with G New. Outside of that, I love the fact that he's embraced the nickel role. Obviously he was against it at first, but I thought the more reps that he took there, the better he got. And I think he's perfect for that. I think he's a guy that once Denzel misses the 1 or 2 games, if he got a slide to the outside, he can get it done. He can get you through a game. As a fan, I'm not going to be like, oh, shoot, G New out there. Like, that's not going to be the case. I'm going to be like, we still good, because G New is good enough to still get you through a game. I don't know if he can get you through a whole season, but I think he can get you through a couple of games until Denzel gets you back. So those are the things that I do like about G New.
Do you think it's an issue that the Browns have so many guys who are willing to play make on the defense? Because it's kind of like, it sounds silly when you ask it, but it's like, you think about it, it's like, well, Grant like to do that. JOK love to do that.
Yeah, he do.
You got a lot of dudes who hey, Denzel Ward will do that, right? Like, Denzel Ward will absolutely do that. And
you got to try to change the game, though. Like, I'm not mad at people for making plays, but you got to understand that it's a time and a place for everything. I get it. This was year 1. Jim Schwartz wanted you to be aggressive and take risk and things like that. But now that you've been in this system for some time, you've had some success in this defense, how your pass rush operate. Certain calls, all right, I need to be aggressive. It's just about being more smarter in the situation. I'm not mad that they want to make plays, but this is the thing, and this is the part that people got to realize, and it takes a while, because you see all these people make these great plays. A lot of the times, especially when you playing man-to-man, you're not meant, man to man is not meant for you to make a play. It's not meant for you to get interceptions. Man to man is meant for you to have tight coverage to make the quarterback hold the ball so you can get a sack. That's why you run man. If you want an interception, you run zone because you got eyes on the quarterback. You can see the ball out. You can see the routes, and you can react to things. That's why you play zone. So they got to get that in their mind. If he's called a man, just let me take a play on the ball, and I'm not going to get the interception this time. That's just not, unless it's just a terrible throw or something like that. You go back and watch the NFL, a lot of these interceptions, it's a tip pass. The quarterback and the receiver was not on the same page. It was a terrible throw. Like, that's when you see interceptions. Very seldomly are you seeing these dudes just snagging the ball and stuff like that. So you got to get that in your mind.
Yeah, I know Denzel could come up and take one every once in a while, but like you ain't gotta try it every game. You know? Just let him not see the weak side corner. Like, just let him not see the other safety. Like, that's how most of interceptions gonna happen. Most of the time, an interception happens, you either know it or you don't. Like, it's either there are two reactions. Yeah, I knew that, or it's the ball. Like, there's no in between. Like, there is no in between. If somebody get in, what if you ever got an interception Tyvis? You'd be like, I thought that could have happened. You're either you knew it or it just happened.
I'm telling you, a lot of interceptions. It's like, snap,
like, it sounds like somebody dropped the punt.
Like, he done messed up. Like, that's a fact. Now that's a fact. Or it's like.
It's just such a bad throw. You was like, damn.
Or it's like, I watched tape like Dale Pitt did it in the Pittsburgh game when he had I don't know if he got a pick six or if he took it to the one. It was the first time they played Pittsburgh last season. He knew that they was running like a double slant concept, and he went and robbed that thing because he just knew what the play was. Like, okay, yes, but he's a robber, so he can do those things because that's what you do as a robber. Man to man, that you better not. Like, unless people have been watching
JOK does not need to abandon his man.
Yeah, like
in the Texas game to go and try to bat down the screen.
They've been watching like Marcus Peters too much. Marcus Peters used to do that. He be a man, but he ain't go jump somebody else.
Marcus Peters just play Madden, dog. Like, he user. He play football like he user his man.
Exactly. Like exactly
that thing just running up and down the field. Like, oh yeah, what you about to do, dog?
It ain't that. The football is not that.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where I think about it with the Browns. I'm like, I wonder if this year they're gonna calm it down just a little bit when it comes to that, because that was the big problem in 2022 was everybody was doing whatever they wanted and nobody was where they were supposed to be. And these run fits were awful.
Talk about that.
The big play stuff was bad. And I get it. When you are in a Jim Schwartz system and you are going to be this aggressive, you're going to give up big plays every once in a while. Like, that's a natural consequence of what you're asked to do. It's just what the Texans, I counted in that game because I just did a rewatch of it. 7 big play opportunities, not just like 7 30+ yard opportunities. They capitalized on 5 of them. That was the game. Right. And then you throw 2 pick sixes on top of that. Right. That's the game. That's the game. And sometimes you get lucky because you might give up them 5 plays, but like they catch 2 of them. And they ain't touchdowns, right?
So you say grace, start thanking Jesus. Thank you.
No, that's not what you do. You put the seatbelt on because you locked it down, right?
I never did that. I used to be like, "Ooh, thank you. Grace Sunday, grace Sunday."
Somebody asked, was like, "Why did DBs celebrate with like that pass? They didn't do nothing to stop that, but like they got the incompletion." I'm like, the same reason we celebrated, dog. It didn't happen. What you mean? Like, they celebrating like us. It's like, ooh, good break.
Yeah.
But then you got some guys who still just like, lockdown, shut down, just trying to talk that cash money.
Yeah, I hate that. I ain't gonna lie. As a DB, I used to hate when people did that.
Oh, Greg do that all the time.
He does. He does.
Greg do it all the time. Like, it's got to be a strategy for him, right? Like, it's got to be
He's just trying to demoralize people and bring the energy up.
He trying to frustrate you into try to beat him for real. Like,
yeah.
And then you do too much, and then your quarterback like don't anticipate it, or you get too eager on the choice route.
You can't do a lot. You can't do a lot because that pass rush coming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's easy to be big when Miles there, right? Like, I think that's another thing you talk about. Greg Newsome really trusting his pass rush. It's hard, dog, when you just look at you like we got the best one of those on earth.
Yeah.
I'm like, hopping.
Yeah. I know you can't really hurt me like that. Especially if Miles is balling, I'm really talking cash because you can't.
Oh, yeah.
Me.
Why do you think we gave up all those big plays in the Indianapolis game? It was like, oh, Miles is cooking. We hopping everything. And
I'm telling you, if you see Miles, you got one of them type of games. Oh, I'm going for it this game. I ain't only got to cover for like 3 seconds.
Ain't no way he get to the top of that.
Yeah, he ain't even gonna be able to run the route.
We're 10 yards. That's it. Hey, that's what they did to Paul. What was his name that played in the Jets? Trevor Simeon.
Yeah, they did him that. They did him filthy.
Tink.
They did him. I knew it was up when Ronnie Hickman pick 6 the thing. I said, y'all jumping around like a
That's rough, dog.
This is a stat game.
Yeah. They knew what it was, dog. The Jets knew what it was, and the Browns knew what it was, and it was so obvious after like the 3rd drive that the Jets were like, "We not even gonna try."
Yeah, so let's just go ahead and run this ball because we ain't got no time.
Oh, dog. Another thing that gets talked about with Jim Schwartz is kind of how vanilla some of these zone looks can be.
Yeah.
That he runs. When people say the Browns need to get more complicated in some of their looks, are we just talking about disguising these looks pre-snap, or are we talking about the actual function of some of these zone plays where it's just like, are they just running like what vanilla cover 3 would look like, or is it like kind of describe to us what the issue is with the defenses not being as complicated?
So when you get Jim Schwartz, he's one of the coaches that he reminds me a lot of my coaches when I was in Seattle. We came out, we looked the same thing. You knew what we was running, but we had the mindset of, you know what we in, but you're not gonna beat us. Like you know, we in cover 3, but you're not gonna beat us because we run cover 3 just that good. And I think Jim Schwartz was in that. Like, you know, we in man, but like we got the best. Like, you're not about to stop us you're not going to hurt us with nothing that we come out in. So what I think he needs to do is, since he's put that out there on tape, it's time to throw that curveball in there. We're going to look the same. We're going to look like we in man, but boom, we running cover 2 on the snap. Like that matters, because what a quarterback look for is, first of all, if he know what you in, he's already making a plan. Like, okay, they in man. It looks like they in man. So if they in man, this is my first read is 1, 2, check down. That's my read. 1, 2, check down. So, but if on the snap, if I gotta look at the safety and be like, hold on, wait a minute, that ain't man. So that's time. All right, now I got to figure out, okay, where is he going? Is he going to the post, or is he going and playing halves? He's playing halves. Okay, now that's cover 2. Okay, now my new read is this guy. And if that's not there, then I got to go here. By that time, Miles should have been knocked him in the mouth by the things that I want to see them do. You got to throw some zone in there. It's very difficult. As a former DB, I will tell you, it's difficult to play 70 snaps a man. You can do it. Trust me, you can do it. But you will be tired after that game. You're going to need that smoke break. And a lot of times it comes on 3rd down. Like, a lot of teams run different things on 3rd down. But I do think it's time for the Browns to put a cover 3 on 1st and 2nd, or put a cover 2 in 1st and 2nd, just to throw that wrinkle. And I promise you will get a pick off of those, because teams will not be expecting you to do those things.
How often the Browns run man versus zone? How does that affect stuff when it comes to like fitting in a run game, or like just cardio in the run game? Because I imagine if you're in man, sometimes the run game can kind of become a bit of an issue. Because
my man, my fit. That's how the run game. If your man is blocking, you usually fit on the outside of your man. When you're in zone, like if you're a nickel, you're responsible for a gap. Like you're in the. Remember, G New was that was his problem with Joe Woods. He was a part of the run fit, and he didn't really want to be a part of the run fit. But you are responsible for a gap, which is the B gap. If they run the ball to the front side B gap, you better be there. You better be there to make that play. Or if it's
or at least slow them down.
Or at least, or if they run it outside and you the nickel, you better turn it back in. Like you are part of that fit. That's how that would change. But usually how you could tell where somebody's fit is linebackers and D-line usually line up in they fit. So like if a linebacker has the front side A gap, when he lines up, he'll be in the A gap. So he could just run straight. Like they make it simple so you can run straight. It's usually that nickel that's got to come back in. If they run it the opposite way, he got to come back and get to that B gap. But if they run it towards him, he just fits the outside and sends it back in. So it's really not that difficult for fits in the run game if they do want to throw a wrinkle in there.
Do you think Cam Mitchell can play the slot? Is he there yet, or do you think that he needs a couple years before he's ready for that?
I feel like he showed a lot last year. You know, in the one or two games that he played, I thought he looked really good. I'm not willing to say that he's ready for 17 games, but I do think that if G-Nu went down or Denzel or somebody went down and G-Nu had to go out, I'm comfortable with him being out there. I thought that he showed enough as cover ability, and I thought that he came up and was physical in the run game. And that's the part that gets me a little bit. As a nickel, you got to be ready to tackle because you're going to be a part of the run game. You're close to it. And can you check these shifty receivers? And I thought he did a really good job. So I'm comfortable with him. If they decide to move off of G-Nu next year, I think I'll be okay with Cam Mitchell. But I do need to see it for the rest of this preseason, and I would have to see him do some more stuff in the regular season to be all the way committed to it.
Last thing I'm going to ask you about, I'm seeing these clips coming out of joint practice. This is the one thing that I feel like people are so focused on being negative out of the joint practice that we didn't really talk about this as much. But Martin Emerson had some impressive reps versus Justin Jefferson, especially the one I think he like turned around, got the interception, and like kind of just rolled off. And the crazy thing about it was, he caught that, did that, and it just kind of walked off like he just do that all the time. Yeah. I'm like, what has he been on?
Listen, he been. First of all, he realized that this is a pay year for him. He trying to get that bag this year, and that right there helps. You go up against the number one receiver in the NFL and you do that to him. Now, I love that rep. I was able to break that rep down. That's red zone man to man. If you go back and watch it, he puts his heels on the goal line. He does not beat the receiver in the red zone or in the end zone. See, when you get in the red zone as a DB, you're always taught to be on top of the route, be on top of the route. But when you actually get to the red zone, it's actually you're supposed to play underneath routes. You got to slow your body down, but speed your mind up. So he let Jay Jettas beat him into the end zone, turns around, pushes him on the back line, and he faces him up. You can't turn around early because they run this crazy whip route down there that if you look too early, it'll break you off. He actually pushes him to the back line, gets the route that he's running, sees that he's committed to that route, and he does a good job of turning around and making the play. A lot of people just don't even turn around. They just face it up the whole time and just play the hands, but he took it the next step and made a play. And if you can do that in the game, that right there, that's 14 points in my personal. You took 7 points from them and you gave the ball to your offense and they can go down and score 7. That's a 14-point swing to me. That will get you $100 million. So Martin Emerson showed a lot. And the fact that I think Denzel didn't even practice, so he got a ton of work against Justin Jefferson. And to be able to hold your own like that when people have some doubts about you, like now you just need to do it for 17 games. You do it for 17 games, you gonna get paid.
The thing that jumps out to me with Martin Emerson, now I don't think enough people talk about, because people talk about his length, his physicality and that stuff. He's just smart. Like he's just such a smart corner out there sometimes. Like he really, it seems like that's a huge element of what he brings to the table, is that he must be like a film dude, like a real deal film guy in there where he's just watching a ton of it. Like we talked about it last year where he was trying to like catch a back shoulder, like on somebody or something he saw on film.
If you pick a back shoulder, you must have known something. You knew that he was throwing a back shoulder. That's the only way you picking off a back shoulder. But no, I think he understands what his weaknesses are, and he don't allow you to attack him weak in his weaknesses. Like I think he realizes that maybe he's not a down the field speed dude. So what he does is he gets on top of the route to cut you off to make sure you don't get down the field. Like that's just being smart, you know. And I give him credit for that. I think him being with Denzel this offseason and working together was the best thing he could have done because he looked really good throughout this camp.
You see, you Greg Newsome, and you find out that Martin Emerson and Denzel Ward been roommates all summer, but you ain't get no call.
That's funny. That's actually kind of funny. I wonder what he was doing.
What y'all mean?
I would feel some type of way. I ain't gonna lie. I would feel like I couldn't get no invite.
It wasn't no DV stuff. It was just y'all.
Yeah, like y'all buddy, and like, all right.
Grant, did you know?
I'm telling you, that's what I would have did. Like, did you know that you was with him?
All these things, interesting stuff here. Always interested to have Tyvis Powell on. Tyvis, let them know where to find you, man.
Yeah, where you can't find me. I'm on Twitter and Instagram, or X, excuse me, at Tyvis.
No. We were born before the year 2005.
I'm just saying. I'm trying to be.
It is not X.
I'm trying to be politically correct. Twitter or X, whatever you call it.
Twitter. Mama call it Twitter. I'ma call it Twitter.
Instagram at Tyvis. If you're down in Columbus, I'm on 97.1 The Fan, 6 through 8. Through the weekdays, Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show Tuesdays and Thursdays, 11 to 1 on YouTube. Big Ten Network Tailgate Show will be 10 to 11:30 starting on August 31st. Cleveland Browns pre and post game show. Hit me up after the game if you got thoughts on the Browns. We'll walk you through it and get you right.
Make sure you write them miles off on your taxes.
You think I don't? You think I don't?
Dude, you got Uber because you got the app that track it. Like, nah, track all of that. You drive it all up and down the state.
For sure.
But appreciate you coming on, Tyvis. Always a great time. You have a great day. Everybody else have an even better night. Peace.